Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. I am back again. Thank you all for coming to another episode of J1Q, Just One Question, a podcast that brings you life tips, business tips, tips and tricks for everything to help you scale and grow from where you're at to where you want to be. Today's guest we have coming, I'm extremely excited because it's a subject that we all want to talk about, but sometimes we're too afraid to have that talk. Money, finances, right? We're going to be talking about strategic methods to help you go from where you're at to where you want to be. And I have Ms. Priya Kumar coming on with me, who is a financial strategist. And we're going to be talking about ways to re engineer yourself. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause and hands for Priya Kumar.
Hi, Lion. How are you?
I am excellent. We are talking about one of my favorite subjects here today, money, finances. And I love to start off by telling people, because I'm a very transparent person with my listeners. Um, I had no idea about money. I had a toxic relationship with money, and sometimes I still do. But I love learning about it, and I love bringing resources like that to my listeners. So, before we begin, though, I want you to take a few moments to maybe just tell the listeners about who you are and what you do, because everyone can read a bio and they can read what's written, but I love to hear the emotions. So the floor is yours. Please take a few moments to let everyone know about who you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Priya Kumar, and I'm a financial strategist. I coach my clients, small business owners, individuals, as well as nonprofits. I partner with nonprofits and I educate them on financial literacy, more so from the standpoint of financial trauma and generational poverty. How does financial trauma actually impact our mindset, our behavior, and our relationship with money? And then how that in turns either puts us in a cycle of generational poverty or it helps us create generational wealth. I call flip the switch. That's my way of saying that, okay, whatever you are going through, you need to figure out what's really impacting it. Ask questions so you can flip the switch on your own mindset, on your own behaviors, on your own relationships. How I got into this was pretty much I worked as a business investigator for over 12 years. And what I saw was that a lot of small business owners were really struggling with finances. Their business was great, but they really didn't have a relationship with money, and that prevented them from setting financial goals for growth for their business. So I started coaching small business owners on really profit strategies for their business. And then when the COVID hit, I was like, well, I'm home. Let me take it a step further and try start helping out individuals. And so primarily, I started doing workshops called Moms and Money. So I would teach moms and single moms how to really build their finances, start where they are, so they can start creating financial wealth for the next generation, and what tools did they really need to do that. And then after that, I was like, well, I would love to help women. Where can I go? And I want to help the ones who don't really have money, who can't really afford to work with me. So then I started reaching out to nonprofits. And what I did was I created a whole financial literacy program that I pitched to a nonprofit. And I was like, hey, I'd love to come teach financial literacy here with anyone who's available. Give me a small group of people. And I want to teach them financial literacy from financial trauma standpoint. So they're actually able to walk away with tools that's going to help them re engineer their lives. It's going to really help them build financially and go to the next step and be able to get the things that they really need in their lives and have confidence when it comes to finances. So, yeah, so that's what I do. I'm a financial strategist, and my take on finances is heal your financial trauma so you can create generational wealth.
Yes, I love that. And one of the main things when you're speaking and you're talking about that, what I love about it is the fact that I always say that we don't know what we don't know, for an example, right? We're taught from our like generational. My mom taught me, her mom, my grandma, her great mom taught her, passed it down. but we only pass down what we know. It doesn't mean that it was correct or wrong because that's just what we were taught. Like, for example, my grandfather used to always tell me, put money in the bank, work hard, save money, and you'll become successful, right? And that's not always the case nowadays because things have changed. You have to learn to invest and strategize and where to put your money. You just can't save money to get to a point where you want to be in life. So I love the fact that you also said, you know what, hey, some people may not be able to afford my services, but I still want to help. And so, can you talk a little bit about where that came from? Where did that passion that came from for you to say, you know what, I still want to give back to other people as well, and I just want to hear that story. Let me know.
Well, one thing that people don't really understand when it comes to finances is that they say that if I have a big heart and if am a person of God, sometimes they think that they have to be poor to be seen in order to be able to understand struggles and in order to be able to help. And I say, well, if you are starving yourself, you cannot feed someone else. So my growth, my hard work is paying me, and that allows me to help other people. And that's where that really came from, because there was a time in my life when I couldn't afford anything. I couldn't even afford to buy diapers for my son. And, at that time, there were family that helped out. There were other people who really saw me, and I just reached out with maybe simple questions, with just curiosity. Where can I start? What tools do I have that I'm not even seeing? And these people were kind enough to sit with me to have a conversation, just one conversation. And it was life changing. And I promised myself that any information that someone gives me for free, I'm going to value it as if it's gold. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to mold it. I'm going to apply it in my life and I'm going to run with it. And that allowed me to build myself to where I am. And I
Mm,
promised myself that if I get to that level where I am able to help other people
yeah.
without having to really charge them, I will be able to do that. But I'm also choosy. Like, I do have clients like who can't afford to pay me, and I will have conversations with them and I will give them so many nuggets. But I'm also
Mm,
watching them. Did they take anything to try to do the work for themselves? Or did they just listen to me and were like, whatever? Because then there are those people who are stuck in the victim state, right? When you're stuck in the victim state, then it's just pity. You are pitting your situation, your circumstances, where you are. So I was all like, well, I am passionate enough where I want to help women just like me and other people who have struggled in life. And the ones who are not ready, eventually they will be ready. So my life's mission is really to help anyone. I want to inspire and I want to leave people better than I actually found them. So if I meet someone, whether they can use my service or not, I share information. Who knows whose life it's going to impact?
yeah, I love that. And it's the old adage of whether it's a million people listening, if it just helps one person, that really affects them because then that one person can then help someone else. And it's a snowball effect. And it's really heartening to hear the story of, like you said, of, I want to give back to someone and just give information because I think one of the biggest things that holds people back sometimes, and I recently found this out, this wording or people say imposter syndrome, right? People feel I don't deserve to be there. Like when I talk to podcasters, they'll say, no one wants to hear my story. I don't think anyone, no, someone out there does. You just have to
Yeah,
believe it. And I truly love the fact that you're saying, look, everyone deserves this abundance. Everyone deserves to be in a position where it's a human right. It's a human thing to say. We just don't know. We don't know the ways to get there. And when someone has a coach like you or has someone just sharing willingly that information, you've got to run with it. You can't be what would you just say that when you give them information, oh, and then they may feel like, well, I just want you to do it for me. No, you got to put the work in.
exactly, exactly. Like I can bring water to you, but
Mm,
you got to use your hand to drink it.
yeah, man,
Right?
this
I
is so
may be
good.
able to help you drink it once or twice, but come on, when I'm not around, what are you going to do? Just like die thirsty, like
Yeah,
dehydrate
like
yourself,
where is she? Where are you? Where's my water? It's-
Right? Yeah, exactly.
and something else that's really interesting, and I think some people don't understand this sometimes, is when you're speaking in reference to, hey, and I love the thing when you say moms and money. I was thinking, oh, Eminem, don't come and try to sue us. I was like, Eminem, moms and money, or something
Oh.
like that. You say, I was like, yes, you can say this is Eminem brand, but I really love the fact that you're speaking to your core, right? You're speaking to women, and I don't think people understand sometimes. They're like, well, why don't you talk to men? No, it's for men also, but you have a better understanding of the struggles that a lady would go through. So it's easier to
Yes.
communicate. The same difference is when I tell people, when I speak specifically to black and brown people, it's because I know the struggles that they're going through.
Exactly.
And I love
And
that.
and
Talk
I
more about
have
that.
been asked by people before like, "Oh, you're discriminating men." And I'm like, "No, I just don't understand their struggles. I don't
Yes.
understand their mindset to that extent because first of all, it's a stigma, right? So they don't talk about it. They don't talk
Yeah.
about their struggles. So I don't know that much about it. So, yes,
Yeah.
I'm going to speak more to women because I have struggled with it. I know what it did to me emotionally, spiritually, financially,
Mm,
even physically. So I can speak for myself. Can I, when it comes to trauma and that kind of trauma, it's almost the same regardless of what your background is, right? The only time it's different is when I talk about cultural conditioning because I can speak for as a brown woman what were my cultural conditioning. Can I talk about what's the conditioning of white women or black women? No, not really, because I don't really know. But to an extent, I may be able to relate to other ethnic women, maybe to some black women, to Asian women, to other groups of women who come from a similar foundation, right? But I can't speak for everyone. And that's why, like, there are some people who just get offended so easily. And I'm very clear. I'm like, I'm speaking from my experience about myself, what I've seen. If you can relate to it, great. If you don't, then figure out for yourself what's affecting your conditioning. Where is your conditioning coming from? Why do you believe what you believe?
yeah. And when I think back about this too, there was something else that you spoke on, and it really resonated with me. And I say this because I would hear the phrase often generational curses, for an example, right? Oh, we're working to break generational curses because this has been plaguing my family for the longest time. And it took me a while to sit back and say, when and I was reflecting and I write a lot, and we're going to talk about your journal in a second because writing things out helped me out tremendously because I got to see it on the screen. And one of my guests said this one time, and it stuck with me forever. She said that sometimes you have to look yourself in the dirty mirror and be truthful to
Yes.
yourself. And it's one of the hardest things to say, I'm messing up because of my efforts. I'm not where I want because I'm not putting in that effort. And I was like, man,
Yeah.
and that correlated with me in this way. There's no curse on my family. No one got Eye of Newton, put it in a bowl and stirred it up and put a spell on us forever. It's generational choices. Now, those choices, we didn't have information. My grandparents didn't know about stocks or whatever, maybe because no one shared it with them. But I have a choice to stop that. And now my son, I teach him, hey, here's some little small stocks. Here's 15 bucks. Let's go and put it on a stock on an app or something. It, and I'm working to teach him so that he can break those choices and continue that with his family.
Yes.
Yeah, what are your
You're
thoughts on
giving
something
him
like that?
tools.
Yes. Yes. Love that.
Yeah,
And
and
man,
and and you have to look at it like my family background. I'm of Indian descent, and my family was taken from India to Fiji for slavery. And what happens is in those situations, the people who end up there are the ones who were either illiterate and didn't know any better, or they were poverty stricken, right? So they
mm,
looked for a better future, and they were taken to a country, and of course everything was a lie, and there's no prosperity. But of course that changes, and slowly you pick up things, slowly you start learning things, and you start to change your life. But when my family moved here, we were just any other immigrant, pretty much. You know, my parents had to learn English, they had to learn the way things worked here. They worked two, three jobs to be able to just to be able to afford the basic needs, right? But then my dad was very honest. He was all like, I don't want this to be your life. And he was all like, even though I think you can go to school and do all these things, but I can't afford to send you to college. And that's when I was all like, whoa. So I got to figure out how to rescue myself. And that was the biggest gift that my dad had given me. He pretty much gave me a torch that was out. And he even said, here's the torch. I don't even know how to light this up. And I can't give you what you need to light this up. So you're going to have to figure it out on your own. And that was empowering because I wanted that to light that up. And I wanted to make sure that when I pass this torch down to my son, it's going to be even brighter. And he's going to have tools to keep it lit or even multiply it. So, you know, those are the things that we need to, as parents, we need to be
Yeah.
honest about too. Because as kids, we see our parents as superheroes.
Yeah.
They know everything, they have everything figured out, but they don't. I mean,
Mm.
even I don't. Technology is changing. You know, there's always some kind of a revolution taking place in some arena that's going to limit me from where I'm coming from, right? But my son
Yeah.
is going to have those opportunities that I didn't have. And I have to be in a position to be honest and be able to empower him. Like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm limited here. My journey is going to stop here, but I want you to move forward. You are standing on my shoulders. You can see further than I could see, and you have more resources to go further than I was able to. And a lot of the times when we don't have those conversations, then those kind of the encouragement stops, the empowerment stops. And also, what happens is we start to victimize ourselves. The
Yeah.
system is against me, the government is against me, the people are against me, the policies are against me, all of that stuff. And when you start looking at it that way, you start to think from a limiting belief system. Then all of a sudden you stop seeking, and that prevents your growth.
Yeah, you're a drop man. It's who look, I don't even have the AC on in the house and I'm getting chills hearing this. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't noticed you needed a pad and a pencil, I should have said that at the beginning. I'm telling you, you need to be taking notes because I'm feeling it. And again, this is one of the things I just said a second ago, but like you were talking about with the choices. My wife and I, we talked. We said this is how we want to work towards breaking that chain in a sense, and little small things. For example, like I apologize to my son if I'm making a mistake. I never heard that as a kid from my parents, and so like you said, I thought they were superheroes. They were never wrong. If I'm wrong, hey son, dad made a mistake. And I think he appreciates that so much. He talks to me. He comes, hey dad, my day was this. I was like, man, I don't ever remember really doing that with my parents because I was so afraid of like letting them down or breaking
Yes.
and just and
There was almost, maybe that could be a cultural thing, right? Like there was
yeah.
no room for vulnerability
Oh yeah.
and failure.
Yeah. Yeah. It was if I fell and scraped my knee, are you bleeding? No, then get up and let's go. That goes a
Yes.
whole another thing into the mental aspect, especially in the black culture. And I love having the conversation in this way because we see culturalistically there are some differences in how we communicate with our kids and all that stuff. And even like I said earlier about the relationship of me having a toxic relationship with finances, is because as I was coming up, my parents weren't educated in the money aspect. Not a bad thing. It's not their fault. They just no one ever really taught them in schools. Their parents, we didn't know. So I always saw it as money in, money right back out. It was I work, I get money, I pay bills, and I work, and it was that rat race. And it was never a I want money to I want money to work for me. I want to be able to sleep and make money. It was just work, get money, and And
Yeah.
so
And even when you heard those terms, someone in your family, your environment, in your circle said, "Oh, that's for white people."
yeah,
I think that's
yes,
one thing that as a brown person, those are the things that I have heard a lot.
mm,
Oh, it's not for you. It's for those people. They
mm,
got connections. Those white people got connection. And I hated that. And I'm like, well,
yeah,
what's different when it comes to information? Like I
yeah,
want to know what they know, right? And it wasn't until I started questioning it, why them and not me? And it
mm,
wasn't until when I started reaching out to them and I started to actually ask them, will you be willing to teach me? What is it that,
mm,
I mean, of course, I don't know a lot of this stuff, but I want to know what you know. I
yeah,
was surprised how willing they were to share the information. And I remember them saying also, I can give this information to a room full of people. Only a few will take this, understand it, and cultivate it and grow on it. And I told myself, even if I don't understand it, but I'm going to be that one person who's going to take this seed and plant it and nurture it and water it and grow it. I don't care
absolutely
how
love
long it
that.
takes me to figure it out, right? But I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm going to do it. I'm going to be different. I don't want to repeat the same cycle of my ancestors, my
yeah,
friends, other people, right? I want to be different and I want to know what they know. And until we're curious, we're not going to do it.
yeah. And I really believe that. And when we cultivate, like you say, I always say, water your garden, right? Plant your seed and then water it. Just because if you plant it, it's not going to grow. You put the seed in someone's mind. Oh, hey, you deserve to have money, and they just think I deserve to have money. You still need to water that. For how do I deserve to have money? Why, how do I learn? They have to be that curiosity and want to. And I always push my son to that. When we go to a store and he says, "Hey, Dad, can I get this?" I always say, "How much money do you have? How much are you willing to spend?" Because we give him that allowance, we set things up, and
Yeah,
even to the point where he'll come to us now. He'll say, "Dad, can I go clean the backyard and maybe for $7 or something?" He's starting his own little small
yeah.
business mindset, and then
And
I'll
that's
go,
important. You're
"Yes,
teaching them that money is a necessity. It's an energy. It's a necessity for you to exchange it,
yeah,
right? Because that has happened from day one. First, it was you exchange gold coins and silk, the barter system or whatever was there, right? And then a
hmm
dollar is just another currency.
yeah,
And currency just means current, just like electricity current. It's gonna move. If you try to hold on to it, it's gonna find a way to move.
yeah." Love that. And now I'm on to teaching him something else because I said to him, I said, he said $7. I was like, how about $3? He's like, okay. So now I got to teach him negotiating skills.
Yes, yeah.
Don't accept the
Value
first
yourself, your
offer.
self-worth, right?
Right. Don't accept the first offer, son. Let's work on that strategy. But yeah, I
Yes,
see. And what happens is that joy is coming into me even more because I see his eyes, his doors opening that, hey, I can have more. I deserve to have more. I'm not just
yes.
limited to my four corners of my block, or I can't be, X amount of dollars. There was, I think my wife and I was doing some research. I think it's 7 or 8 billionaires in the US now. And during COVID, I think there was like 70 new millionaires, and we started looking at those numbers. There is money out there. People, you deserve it. You have to believe I
There's
deserve to
enough
have it.
for everyone where no one has to be poor and no one has to struggle. But the
Yes.
only ones who are gonna reach it are the ones who are curious enough to do the work,
Mm,
learn new things, skills, or whatever, and actually apply it.
yeah.
It's almost like foreign language, like almost like you're a newborn and you start growing and you start learning to talk for the first time. It all comes out jumbled and no one can understand it, and you're doing like half voice half hand, your whole body, it's a language you start speaking, right? Eventually you master it, just
Yeah.
like walking. It's the same thing. Anything that we need in our life, we need to be motivated enough to understand it, learn it, even if we don't master it.
Right.
But you need to keep making that progress.
Yeah.
And money is that. necessity. We need it. We need to buy food, clothing, shelter, everything.
Yeah.
How else are you going to barter, right?
Yeah, it's just one of those things, and we have to be hungry is what I love to call it. It's like thirsty. You have to want it. You have to say I
Yeah,
deserve it, but now let me figure out a way to do it. And even when you've tried it three, four, five different ways and it didn't work, you've got to keep going, because as soon as you get ready to stop or turn around, you're one more strike to dig and get that gold or hit it. Because what other
yeah,
choice do you have, right? And it does, I believe that money does have a big effect on us mentally as well, right? Because
yes.
some
Mental
people,
stress.
yeah. And I want to say this to listeners also: you have to truly figure out what success means to you, because
Yeah,
don't take what society success says, that you have to have $1 million to be successful, right? you Whatever, as long as you're comfortable. A small thing that
and
I
also how do you want to get this success?
Yeah.
Because there are some people who are successful, but they're miserable.
Oh, yes.
So how do you want this success? Like, my thing is, I want it joyfully, I want it happily, and for that I had to understand what financial trauma I was carrying with me, what belief
Mm.
system, what mindsets, and were they my own, or were they something that was just passed
Mm.
down to me,
Yes.
and I made it my own. I molded it with my own trauma and layered it up and started carrying it with me. Now it's just this heavy weight that doesn't serve me a purpose anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's not just my own. I'm carrying generational trauma, generational belief system, negative belief system,
Mm.
all that stuff. And then I layer it and polish it with my own trauma,
Yeah.
and then now I carry it with you. And then when someone gives me the positive stuff, I'm like, well, there's no room because I'm already carrying this. What do I do with this? And we are so attached to our trauma that we're like, oh yeah, you're giving it to me, but thank you, no thanks.
Mm.
I already have, my hands are full. Well,
Right.
drop it.
Yeah.
Let it
It's
go.
okay to let
Question
it go.
yourself. Ask yourself, what is your relationship with money? The
Mm.
everything that you believe about money, your mindset, whether it's positive or negative, where is it coming from?
Yeah.
And look at your own life. What are the traumas that you have experienced? Relationship, loss in business, bankruptcy, economy, stock market, losing your home, war, wherever you're coming from, death, all of those things impact our relationship with finances. So where is this coming from? And I ask my clients to, one of the best ways to really look at your relationship with money is, just for example, just sit with it and ask yourself, if money was a person, what kind of relationship do I want to have with this money? If I were to give it a name, what would it be? Would this be my best friend? Would I trust it? Would this be my ancestor, like my grandfather? Will this be my sister? Will this be close to my mom and dad who are there for me and who will show up? When you put that kind of love into it with respect and gratitude and promise yourself to work hard towards it, it's going to reciprocate. Just like our parents, they see us work hard. They're like, okay, I'll support you. What can I do for you? Our moms, they'll be like, you've been working hard. Here's a plate of food. Energize your body, energize your mind, so you can keep moving forward. You can keep working hard. And when it comes to money, we don't do that. We have such a hateful, such a grudging relationship with finances. And that really keeps us in the struggling phase because there's no love, there's no gratitude, there's no joy around it. And we keep struggling. We continue this cycle. And we just keep
Yeah.
hating money, and we keep hating those who have
Who have
money.
it? Yeah, I was just about to say that, and I love that. And when you were talking about the traditions and stuff, and one time I said this, and I had a few listeners write in and take umbrage to it. And everyone's has the right to their own choice. And I tell anyone these are just my opinions. It doesn't mean you have to do it. I just like to project a different type of thinking, because sometimes you may not have known that. So a small example of why I say that is because, for example, through the holidays, I know one thing that a lot of families do, and our kids used to start doing this as well, is people will overextend themselves and take out loans just to buy gifts, right? And I would say, why? Why are you doing that? Because that's how I show them love. Who told you that? I want to question. They. I love when they say they told. Who was they? Well, you know who they. No, I don't know who they are. Tell me who's
Yeah,
they, right? Society tells you.
yeah,
And so, for an example, we have our granddaughters. They're turning 3, and their birthday is coming up on the 3rd of March. And the kids are like, "Hey, what are you getting the grandkids? A checking account." Oh no, they need clothes. They need then you get them clothes. You get them gifts. We're doing something to
yeah.
set them up for the future, right? You bought them a gift 4 months ago for Christmas. What happened to those gifts? Oh, they need new gifts right now for their birthday 3 months later. Why? They're 3 years old. So we open up checking accounts for them, and then like every year on their birthday, we put like $100 or whatever inside, a Roth IRA or a certain account to help that grow. That
And
to me
that's
is
a
going to
better
help them.
way.
Yeah,
I'd rather have people have, what are those called? The registries,
yeah,
and have it be like, I'm trying to buy this stock. Give me a gift that will contribute towards this.
yeah.
I'm trying to start a business, or I want to start a business. Any resources, put it in here. Send me resources, or
Mm,
support my business. I have a product that's only like $20 or whatever. Like,
yes.
we don't do that. It's
No.
only stuff.
Yes. I'm gonna tell you, and I don't know. This may be fortuitous, but so last night I was watching an episode of Quantum Leap, and on Quantum Leap they had a family from India or Indian descent, and the mom was working to start a store, and eventually a fire happened and burnt down the store, her cooking kitchen and everything, a restaurant. They had a restaurant, and her husband had just passed, so she was like, I don't know what to do. But my point in saying this is that eventually she said, let me reach out to my family. She had a realtor in her family, and then there was a picture of all of the family. She's like, no, I don't want to ask them. Then they had an investor, and she asked her family, and they all invested, and then her restaurant eventually became really big, right? Sometimes we have to humble ourselves, just say, I can use help. Doesn't mean anything less or something. Reach out, and you, I'm not saying beg or anything, but reach out in a productive way. You can't do this all by yourself. No one, in my opinion, has become successful by themselves. No one, no one.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
need a
and
team.
and just because, if you keep hearing no from your circle, you're in the wrong
Wrong
circle.
circle.
Get
Mm,
out of it, because
yeah,
there are a lot of people who are willing to help you. And
yeah.
ever, like, I remember when I started with the nonprofits, there were so many people who were telling me they don't have money. Whom are you going to help? How are you going to help them? I'm like, no, I believe in myself. I believe
Mm-hmm.
in my product. There are nonprofits who will see the value of this, and
Yeah.
there are nonprofits who want to leave anyone that's coming in for help with them, leave them better. They want them to come, stop over, get the information, get the resources, and go on their own and go on and build. And
Yeah.
I'm like, there are people who are going to see me. I don't have to have a nonprofit. I don't want to do that. I
Yeah.
can partner with lots of nonprofits and make the impact, you know and that's what I'm doing. Like, that's, people just need to have passion for that, and know, like, if I believe in something, if I have something that can help someone, go out there and do it. And
Mm.
don't stop until you have gone through the muggy waters, and now you're in the clear waters, and now people are seeing you and they see the value you bring in. Sometimes we
Woo.
stop because we got to go through the murky waters. It's
Yeah.
like, no, don't stop there. Keep going. That you're just clearing out the dirty field. That's all.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you listening? It is coming here. I absolutely love this. And I want to talk really quick because we're going to get ready to wrap up. But you have a gratitude journal. Can you tell our listeners about that? Maybe where they can find it, anything like that? It is all on you now.
I do have this gratitude journal, and I created this in my worst time, when I had hit rock bottom. And the beautiful thing about this journal is that it's a guided journal. So I have, you can't really see it with the glare, but it has sections. It's divided in, and there's uh,
Angle it
I'm like
down a
all over
little
the
bit.
place.
Angle the top of it towards the camera. There you go. That takes the light off it a little bit more.
Ah, okay. So you can see it a little bit, but it has gratitude, your actions, prayer, visualization, affirmations, and self care. It's a full balance journal because anytime we start to work on ourselves, we start to do something, we get distracted. We our plate is too full, and we're trying to balance it on one hand with on one leg while standing on a basketball or whatever, right? Something's gonna fall, and something's gonna hurt, and something's gonna not work out. So this was my way of putting that balance in place. Gratitude was the first one. If everything went wrong today, there is still something for me to be grateful about. And then setting your goals. So when I started, I would just set like really small goals. I'm going to read something today. Maybe I'll look at a YouTube video and learn about something. Or maybe I'll pick a topic. What are checking accounts? What do they mean? You know, how do you choose one? Like something really little. And then I'll visualize myself. What am I trying to do with this? Where am I going with this? What's what do I want this big picture to look like, right? And then I'll put in my affirmations. Whatever I'm feeling in my heart, that will be my affirmations. Like I am healing. I am confident. I am strong. I am seen. You know, like those little things. And then self care was the biggest part. Like, okay, I got to feed my mind, my body, my spirit, and my soul. So I have that in there. Did I meditate? It doesn't have to be closing your eyes and being on all silent, but even positive thoughts are your meditation. You know, food for fuel. Did I eat a nutritious meal? Or am I running empty, like without fuel, pretty much, you know? And then I had exercise. Did I read something today? Even if I listen to something positive, I'd put it down as reading, you know, because I'm adding something to my mind. And it made a huge difference. And step by step, I just, it helped me just create that structure and that foundation that took me to the next level.
Love it. I love it. And I know that you have, like you said earlier, a coaching program. And I know that you're doing a special for your coaching program. And I like to say, gentlemen, you can get into this also, right? And I will
Yes.
tell you, and I say this real quick, and I'm going to let you take that. When I started into podcasting, I was like, oh, I'm just doing it as a hobby. And I started really loving it. So I said, well, if I'm really going to dedicate myself to this, I need to grow. So I got me a coach and I got me a lady coach. And that wasn't specific, like, oh, I'm just looking. It was just, I felt comfortable in our conversations. So, men,
Because you
hey,
could be more vulnerable and share your fears.
yeah. So let us know a little bit about your coaching. How can people find you? What are you offering? Let them know.
Yes, yes, thank you. So you can find me at pivotmyprofit.com. I'm also on Instagram, and it's profitcoach.priya. On TikTok, it's the same thing, profitcoach.priya. I am running a special this month, month of March, because it is the Women Empowerment Month, and my offer is open for both men and women. 50% off my coaching programs. And if you are struggling with any area of finances, one example I can give you is, did you make money and you got your W 2 to file your taxes and you looked at it and you're like, where did all my money go? You need to call me. Take advantage of this 50% off, and let me show you. Let me help you review. Let me help you reduce your expenses, and let me help you restructure so you can re engineer your life with your finances and really see your own areas of limitations that may be in place and you're not aware of it. So take advantage of it. Give me, send me a message. You can book from my website at www.pivotmyprofit.com. There's a link on there to connect with me. or you can simply send me an email, priya@pivotmyprofit.com.
Love it, love it. And so we're going to get ready to wrap things up, but I want to ask you a question because we have one new segment that is called "You Better Mind Your Business." And so,
I love that.
yes, it is just a thing where I ask my guests to maybe give maybe one tip that someone can implement right away and everything. But also, I just want to let everyone know that this segment is being brought to you by Reflections of You, where we make your reflection as beautiful as you are. So, Bria, please give the guests out there maybe one little or two tips where they can implement right away to uh, maybe start transforming anything that they want towards their businesses.
Okay, awesome. Well, if you are a business, then one thing that you want to do is you want to do a financial assessment of your previous year. So this will be the year of 2022. Do a financial assessment so you get a bird's eye view of exactly how money is moving through your organization. So you can see clearly which area is actually struggling so you know where to focus your energy. And for individuals who are earning and you are trying to get in a better place, you're struggling financially, one thing that you can do is determine what your relationship with money is. That's going to give you some clarity and give you a starting point of what you may want to work on first. So that's one thing. Just write the question down. What is my relationship with money? And just whatever the first thing comes in your mind. Some people will say fear, some people will say guilt, some people will say shame, and some people will say joyful, happiness, prosperity, success, abundant, or whatever word you want to use. I had one person and she said a redheaded stepchild, and I was like, ooh, that's heavy. I had one person who said psychological terrorism because they couldn't get out of their head. So determine what your relationship is with money. Even if it's negative, put it down on a piece of paper so you know what you need to change.
Mm,
And if you need
love it.
help, give me a call.
Love it. I'm gonna make a post on that right there. I'm I'm I'm, that's not copyrighted, right? Because I'm gonna repeat that to my listeners on my pages today.
I give you permission.
Yes, thank you. What is your relationship with money? Is it a redheaded stepchild? Are you a terrorist? I absolutely love that. And yeah, and I sincerely appreciate you having on coming on because when you said that about getting it assessed, a small little thing for an example that I have no knowledge of that, right? So, for an example, I would tell anyone, people say, well, I don't know how to do it. Find someone who do. Find an accountant, find someone in a Facebook group, maybe someone in your family, find someone who has an understanding. Because I found out, for an example, we were paying, I think, almost close to $200 a month in recurring fees for subscriptions that we didn't even know we had anymore.
That's a big
You
one
know,
because it's automatic.
yes, and you don't think about it because it's $5 here, it's $10 here, and so you see it on the account or something. You're like, oh, what's that? But it didn't hit me that all of them together. I'm like, I don't even remember having that. So that's an extra $200 a month. So I appreciate it. Hang with me for one moment. I'm gonna end up and or end the show and then get these sponsors paid, and I will be right back with you. Okay. Thank you
Awesome.
so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching and listening to another episode of Just One Question. I sincerely appreciate you for being here. And as always, like I tell you, just keep pushing and doing that. And this episode was also brought to you by Hustle 1977. For those who grind, you deserve to relax. Why not relax with a glass of smooth tasting Hustle brand whiskey? And make sure you keep living while you are alive.